They have brought the 800-meter runners back to the oval for Group A of the women's 800. 10 heats, the first of 10. No qualification process in this one. This is their moment in the sun on day 2 at the Bryan Clay Invitational. Presented by Saucony, live on FloTrack. I'm Phil Grove. Happy to be here. Carson Gambaro is going to be joining us a little later today. Put in the big work this morning on the 5,000-meter open C and B groups. And we're underway with our first section of 10, women's 800-meter run open. And again, they started in lanes. They will come together at the start of the back straightaway, which they already have, fighting for the opportunity to run the closest distances possible to 800 meters. As you see, Cal Poly's Ellie Demange in the lead, and Nebraska's Sydney Drevlo on her shoulder, junior and a freshman. Everybody is there for this one. Coming down towards start finish, I think that is Libby Berryhill-Warshak. It is from Wyoming. 63 mid for the opening 400 meters. Berryhill-Warshak, a senior for the Cowgirls. And Amanda Kotambe from Butler Community College, your new leader. She was just 1/10 of a second behind at 400. And I mentioned earlier today that they did very well yesterday in the distance races. And Katambe is starting to pull away from this Division I laden field. Look at that lead. Could we maybe see a negative split off a 63.6? Here she comes, Amanda Katambe from Butler Community College. Two minutes. She's got a chance. She goes negative. Amanda Katambe. (2:07:37). Actually an even split performance. Almost went negative. 2:07:37, wins by almost 4 seconds over Hannah Taylor from Tulsa. Again, Division I athletes throughout that first group. A big time run from the junior college standout from Butler Community College. And that's going to make me go to TFRS, our website for all things track and field in the U.S. collegiately. That is a new number 1. Amanda Katambe was at 2:10:09 from February. Now she is number 1 by almost 2 seconds. The National Junior College Division I rankings here in 2026. Already new national number 1s out of Group A of the women's 800. Need to pick your spot is on the inside. That's Taryn Bailey from UNLV. She had the advantage of being along the rail in lane 1. As they come out of the turn with 300 meters behind them, in 47 seconds. Bailey, still from UNLV, in the lead by the narrowest of margins. And that looks to be Olivia Draws from Tiffin out of Ohio, Division II, and she is going to be the leader at the 400 break. 63.2, just a couple tenths quicker than our opening heat. Can she close as quickly as our Butler CC runner did? Katambe's time, 2:07.37. Draws still in front by about 5 meters, but here they come down the back straight. Riley Berkey from Colorado pulls up alongside, Draws, and now pass going past the steeplechase water pit. Final 150. Berkey from Colorado gives up the lead. And that is, I believe, Rose Perriton from Portland. Running to victory as Draws rallies and regains her form. Is going to go sub 2:10 in second place, but the winner, Rose Perriton from Portland, the freshman, 2:07.97. Happy with that effort as the first two under 2:08. Quickly on the oval, ready to go, heat number 3. Total of 10 on the oval. In 2 of those lanes, in 1 and 3 athletes sharing the space. Otherwise, each athlete has a lane to themselves until they hit the top of the back straightaway, and they will break for the rail. That is Lauren Creeby from Stephen F. Austin on the inside. Didn't have to go anywhere to get to the rail. She is our leader. And Mackenzie Huber from Illinois Wesleyan on her shoulder. All 10 runners in one big pack through 300 meters. Still the freshman from Stephen F. Austin, Lauren Creeby, in front. Going 3 wide down the main straight, out wide in the lane 2. Going to go through the opening 400 in a pretty quick pace. Another 63-second opener. Creeby, then Jasper Newton from Tulane, 1-2. Lindsey Rotz from South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits. On the move, Hanako Yamamoto from UC San Diego, now in the number 3 spot, but still chasing Jasper Newton, sophomore from Tulane. Lauren Creeby, the early leader. She led at 400 meters. She is now on the shoulder of our leader, Newton. They're going wide out into lane 3 to get a shot toward the finish side. A free run for home. And under 2:10 once again. They are running hot in the Group A 800 meters as Hannah Bailey from Weber State, 2:08.65. Newton about 7 tenths behind her in 2:09.4. And according to their seed times, we are going fast to slow with these heats, but really not much drop off so far through heat 3 of 10 in the Women's Open A 800 heats. There are the numbers from Heat 3. Katambe's winner of 207.37, still the overall lead as we are already on the move in heat number 4. There is the lineup. They have broken out of their lane assignments. Sine Hasanoe from East Texas A&M leading the way through 250 meters of this opening lap. This field is really stretched out about 20 meters from first to last. And about 8 to 10 meters between first and second. 60 point, holy cow, 60-39, the official opening 400 split, with Kyla Palmer from Boston College having to wonder, I ran 61.6 and I am that far behind our leader. Hasanoe from East Texas A&M putting it all out. She is all in. 200 to go at 1:33, on pace to take the overall lead in this A group in the women's 800 meters. Still nobody close to Sine Hasanoe from East Texas A&M. And the clock just now hitting 2 minutes. The final 20, very difficult after that hot opening lap. Our new overall leader, 2:06.29 by more than a second. What a run for Sine Hasanoe. That fine athlete from Morocco. And according to her World Athletics profile, her PR at this distance was 2:07.97, but that is far behind her now after that big run, 2:06 and change. And that was back in 2022, so a 4-year-old lifetime best has now been rectified. Halfway home, heat number 5 of 10. Pretty legitimate opening 400 clip for this group. Going to come through in 63 and change. That is Olivia Corley from North Dakota in front. Check that, that's Liliana Escorcia in the lead from Sacramento State. Corlea in second at 1:03.61, and it looks like she is now your leader. Erasing that 0.12 of a second deficit as McKenna Castillo from UC Irvine trying to keep up to the Sacramento State sophomore with less than 150 meters remaining. Liliana Escorcia from Sacramento State, but here come the kickers. Looks like that might be Angelina Corte from New Mexico State to the line, and the winner is, that one's going to be close. Olivia Corley from North Dakota with the win. Now that was Karima Gonzalez from Illinois, Chicago, as they both go 2:10. Nice run there. Hasanoe with the lead at 2:06.29. The top 13 all under 2:10 as we approach heat number 6. And scheduled to have some of our first doublers, as Ari Comer from LSU, who ran the steeplechase last night, finished 30th in 10:30. Scheduled to be one of 10 on the oval. A fairly tight-knit group. That's Lexi Meyer from Eastern Washington. 62.9, very nice pace. Alexis Alexander just a couple tenths back, but she's now pushed back to the number 4 position. And Sally Roos from Utah State now the new number 2. Until we see Trista Etheridge from Oklahoma Baptist now wearing hip number 6, the leader. Meyer still on the rail in second, but losing some ground to Etheridge from Oklahoma Baptist. About 8 meters between first and a chase group of 6 runners. I don't think they're going to catch Trista Etheridge. Went out in 63.5 and is going to close very strong and well under 2:10 with the win in heat number 6. 2:08.56, wins by almost a second and a half over Elisa Marshall, Boise State. Some big-time running schools on the program in this one, Notre Dame and Stanford. Baylor also, normally reserved for those 400-meter distances, as we are underway. Mia Picasso from UT Rio Grande Valley moved it quickly to the rail. Now she is sitting in the number 2 position behind Isabel Ross from UC Santa Barbara. Field starting to stretch out just a little bit. As Picasso in the number 2 position right alongside Ross from UC Santa Barbara. 63 mid opening lap for our leader, Isabel Ross from UC Santa Barbara. having a big stride advantage and using it to her benefit. Moving up on the outside, a new leader. That is Kaylee Gunciarowski from Notre Dame. A sophomore went out in 64.2, is going to bring Ross with her, side by side battling going into the final 100 meters. Gunciarowski gathers herself, has another gear, and she is going to be victorious in this section, number 7 of the women's A group 800 meters. 2:09 double threes for the winner, as Noelle Steins from Bradley finishes 0.3 of a second behind. Big final 50 meters allowed her to get the number 2 spot. (2:06.29), still the time to beat, but we have put a lot of sub 2:10 times on the board. The 800 meters is definitely alive and well in the U.S. both for American women, American collegiate women, and also on the men's side. From Occidental, Delphine Way in the number 1 spot. Addie Durand sitting second currently. We'll have to change that around. Durand, the new leader. Her effort up front is stretching out this field. Sub 63 second opener, or actually right on the button, 63 flat. Haven't seen one of those in a while, as Delphine Way from Occidental in the number 2 spot, just about a half second behind. And Ginger Oberg from San Diego State in 3rd, trying to move up. And it looks like now she is inching by. Is she going to challenge for the lead, moving from 3rd to 1st? Ginger Oberg sitting in a good spot, as is Abby Macheski from Central Arkansas. But not giving up hope on this 800, Delphine Way from Occidental. From 3rd, trying to move. Still not able to pull in Addie Durand. Now it's Oberg with the final push. The San Diego State freshman to the line. It will be Durand with the win. 2:10.54. A very aggressive opening lap. 63, they close in 67. Our next to last grouping of 10 heading out toward the starting line. There they are. And we are underway. Scholarship and non-scholarship athletes on the oval for Heat 9. And on the outside, I believe that is Eva Novi Hildesli from Pomona Pitzer. And it is. She had that outside lane 8, used it to her advantage. When they all broke for the rail, she had a nice angle and took that. And as she passes the steeplechase pit, she is up by about 5 to 6 meters. Has lost most of that as she is headed toward start finish for the first time. 59, 60 seconds. Her sub 64 opener. As Tatum Zinkin from San Diego State challenging on the outside as the top 3 all under 64 seconds. Maria Alduin from Tulane is 3rd. There's a flip in the order up front. It is now Zinkin from San Diego State, the senior, in the lead, and also Alduin from Tulane, takes the opportunity to move up a spot to 3rd, to 2nd. Novi Hildesli not giving up, down by about 5 meters with 150 to go, but a 2-woman battle right now, Zinkin and Alduin. Alduin makes the pass with about 80 meters remaining. The freshman from Tulane will be victorious in section number... No, what a move! I called that too early. Wow, out in lane 3. Where did she come from? Brooke Ziebert from Illinois State. Out of nowhere, definitely out of the frame, to victory in 2:11.23. What a closing 100 meters. Congratulated by the rest of the contingent from Illinois State. And that look straight on toward the field as they head for home. A lot of fuel left in the tank. Congratulations for our winner out of heat number 9. Our final gun signaling the start of the Group A women's 800-meter dash heats. Everybody coming together out of running in lanes through the opening 100 meters. Once again, the facility record, the invitational record, 158.37 by Michaela Rose, formerly of LSU. She will be back for the elite heats later on this evening, scheduled for a 5:16 p.m. Pacific Coast time start. Isabella Alvarado from Washington State, a junior, on the rail in lane 1, in the lead. Their split time 64 low. With Shayna Hendricks from Oklahoma Baptist in the number 2 spot, was just 0.05 of a second behind, but 8 runners in this field. Still within, I would say, contact. Is there 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 down the back straight. Alvarado has maintained the lead, but not giving up the pressure. Shayla Hendricks from Oklahoma Baptist. They're gaining some separation as they kicked it up a gear for this final 100-meter sprint for home. Hendricks on the outside, Alvarado along the rail. Eking out that advantage that she will hopefully take to the line in this 10th and final heat of the 800 meters, and she will hold on and be victorious and run under 2:10. Isabella Alvarado, her time 2:09.72. Add another one to the list of those under 2:10 at this year's Bryan Clay Invitational in the women's open A section for the 800. All right, we will head out to a quick break and come back for the men's 800 Open A 10 heats live from Bryan Clay. Welcome back to the Bryan Clay Invitational at the Azusa Pacific University. This year's live coverage on FloTrack presented by Saucony. Phil Grove, Old School Track, happy to be here. This is my event, folks. I love the 800 meters. So much goes on in such a short time. These athletes running around 150, maybe a little quicker. Even with the women's races, so many runners under 210. Once they're breaking for the rail, all bets are off. Lots of things are going on. And the leader right now from the Air Force Academy, Jonah Hochstetler, a junior out at Colorado Springs. And coming through 300 plus meters in about 38, 39 seconds. Nice little cushion for our front two. We'll get Hochstetler's split here momentarily. 52 and change. Nice run through 400 meters. Sets it up for a very good time. That is Ficadu Gonzalez from Texas Tech. Those who you can see the separation that they have on the rest of this field. We are going fast to slow with this A group, so this is the quote-unquote hot heat. Hochstetler and Gonzalez side by side. Hochstetler looks pretty happy with his position right now. Able to hold off Gonzalez going into the turn. He had 2/10 at 400 meters. He still has the lead, but what gear is Gonzalez in? What does he have left? Coming for home, Hochstetler and Gonzalez, Air Force and Texas Tech. And the first heat win goes to, looks like the outside Gonzalez. It is Ficadu Gonzalez, 149.25 by 11 hundredths of a second. Great run, guys. So those two opened in 52 mid, closed in 56 mid. Another look at those final meters and back at the field. That big pack chasing these two never could close. Section number 2, the lineup. And I mentioned earlier the collegiate lead that belongs to Arizona State's Dayton Carlson, 145.57 the last weekend in March. I already have 2 under 150 here from the A group, but we still have the invitational heats, 18 for the men, and then 2 elite heats. Or do we have a chance to snap the facility record, 145.14, going back a couple of years? I think we do. The conditions are perfect weather-wise. 42 and change through about 310 meters. That is Luke Parker from Lamar in front. Jordan Morrison from South Alabama moving up into the number 2 spot. And Dominic Solomon from Saginaw Valley State out of Michigan. Division II program, the Cardinals, they got a big 300-meter indoor oval. A great place to go and run and race and train in those nasty winter months in Michigan. And here he comes, SVSU, Dominic Solomon. Went out in 54.1, now right on the shoulder of the leader. And we have 5 with an opportunity, but going very wide. Down the main straight, it is Solomon in the lead, but only briefly. The final run for home, will they go sub 150? Yes, they do, and we have a new overall leader. That is Fort Lewis's Brady Burrow, 148.88. Don't sleep on D2. Fort Lewis from Durango, Colorado, member of that rugged Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. Great distance and middle distance runners, and they have the number 1 time right now in the A group for the men's 800 at the Bryan Clay Invitational, 148.88. And those gentlemen with the big R on their chest from Rice University, Jordan Edmondson and Marcus Gaetan. Gaetan, a sophomore, as is Edmondson. .52 through 400 meters. Edmondson dialed in at 52.73. Ian Hansen from UC San Diego. He is definitely used to running in these great weather conditions in Southern California. Edmondson and Gaetan, it's summer all the time in Texas. Edmondson still leading the way. 200 to go at 120. Looks like Robert Foley from Stephen F. Austin has moved up in the number 3 spot, going wide, challenging the teammates from Rice, Edmondson and Gaetan. Christian Lanfear trying to move from Northwest Missouri. He will move up a spot into 2nd and split the Rice runners, but it is Edmondson going wire to wire. A 52.7 opener closes in 56 for 149.31 as 2 more go sub 150, and they are jaw-dropping moment for that young man from Rice. The weather, the competition, you just can't beat it. You got to be at Azusa Pacific in the month of April. The big victory celebration. A young man from Texas. Coming back once again, we are underway, heat number 4, again of 10. This is not a qualifying process. These are the heats. You had to bring credentials to the table at this event of 157 or faster to compete in the 800 during this year's Bryan Clay Invitational presented by Saucony. All of these men have, as Jonah Defoe from North Dakota State currently in the lead. Looks like that is Sankalp Shastri in the number 2 position, but still Defoe in the lead. 53-2 opener. Tamar Upshaw from Austin P credited with the second place time at 400 meters at 53-4. 2x2 down the back straightaway, a new leader. Catch a look at Jared Laverty running unattached. But we have a battle again up front. Side by side, down the home straight, final 100 meters, 140 on the clock, headed for home. That is Tamar Upshaw from Austin P with the win. Upshaw, 148.80. He is the new leader. Wow, what a run for Tamar Upshaw. Closes in 55 double threes for the win. And they are happy about that one. That big finish, and he knew he was victorious. Spreads his arm and enjoys the moment. Pick number 5 to 10, we are about halfway home. As taking a look at things, our leader right now is Carol Picasso. Running unattached in this one. The 16-year-old taking it up against the collegiate athletes in the largest, the most competitive collegiate track and field meet in the U.S. It is Hayden MacArthur from Bentley, Division II squad from Massachusetts, the closest challenger right now to Picasso. It is still Picasso in front, but here comes Caton Kratz from Wisconsin Parkside. And it's going to be a three-man battle down the final straight. Picasso on the inside, not able to maintain that #1 spot. The run for home, final meters, and we may have a new leader. And that is Kratz from Wisconsin Parkside, 148.74, and we do. They're supposed to be getting slower, they're getting faster. 3 under 150. Kratz, Moore, and Picasso. Another look at that run for home from Division II, Wisconsin Parkside. What a run. And we're underway with heat number 6. And this is the way of the modern 800 meters, taking it out very hard. That is Kai Bickford from Central Arkansas. No messing around. I've been known to describe the 800 as the 400 dash, the 400 die, because you go out too hard, that's going to happen that final lap. But if you don't go out fast enough, the race is over and you're left kicking for maybe 3rd or 4th place instead of 1st or 2nd. Bickford in the lead, right about 53 flat. With Brett Jacobs from Arkansas State just a 1/10 of a second behind him. Till Wooldridge from North Dakota was 3rd after 1 lap. Bickford and Jacobs down the back straight. The Arkansas State sophomore now the leader, but wow, we have 4 there and a new leader. The big push coming from John Bard from Pomona-Pitzer. John Bard, the senior from Pomona-Pitzer, trying to hold off Till Wooldridge to the line. There's 6 of them. Here they come, and at the line in 150. It looks like it is John Bard, 150.36, 0.12 of a second ahead of Till Wooldridge. That is why I love this race. It was a 2-man battle, and all of a sudden, 6 finished within 55 hundredths of a second of the winner. What a close. Bard held off the field in heat number 6. And we are underway. And a big gap up front. And I believe that is Wyoming's Tristan Neufel. And it is Neufel at 53.3. Had a couple tenths on Lance Denharder from Long Beach State. And it looks like Neufel is not able to hold on to that pace, slipping back into 3rd, 4th right now, and a new leader down the back straight. But we're going to have a bundle of folks with an opportunity to run for home. Diego Mejia from Cal State Fullerton. And then Dawson Welch from Arkansas on the outside in the red. And now going 3 wide and maybe 4 wide. Holy smokes. That is Gideon Hama from UMary. Hama out into between lane 3 and 4, and he ends it in 4, and he ends it as the winner. 150.52. Taking it clear from everybody, wide of all those along the rail, and he wins by 4 tenths. Wow, going all the way out into lane 4 to close it out. Nobody was getting in his way. Heat number 8 of 10. It's a good start for the field. There is the lineup. This entire field's grouped together as they're coming through in 47, 48. Going to have a new leader before they get to start finish. That is going to be Isaac Lynn from Bradley. Nope, check that. That is Gavin Pollock from Idaho State. 54-14. Adrian Solis from West Texas A&M, a very fine Division II program. And how about Rock Chalk Jayhawk? Kansas's Nathan Thingaval trying to get to the front. Held off. Now he's in the number 3 spot because of the big rush. And the run for home, I think that is Isaac Lynn from Bradley, the sophomore. Can he close it out? Gonna be close. He is tiring. He's gets the win though in 151.31 by 25 hundredths over Hayden Roberts from Gonzaga. Just like Midwest and Northwest, Lyndon Roberts coming together 4 under 152 in that heat number 8 of 10. Number 1 time, still Caton Crotch from Wisconsin Parkside. Out of heat number 5 is the top 4 under 149. Let's take a look at those D2 numbers coming into this weekend. With our Parkside standout as the leader today. And they're on the move with heat number 9. The Division II lead. I remember mentioning this before. Caleb McLeod from Colorado State Puebla, 147.19. That is an altitude converted time. Everybody's there. This field of 11. Love the drone. That's a little Seinfeld-esque, doesn't it? Coming up to start finish, 54 and change. That is Will Henry from Western Washington. Elijah Williams from Fresno State, and then Arturo Martinez from Drury. And a pretty sizable gap for Will Henry from Western Washington. Coming up on the 200 meter to go mark. As he flashes by the senior from Western Washington. So here they come. The kickers slowly moving. They got enough left in the tank. They are pulling on Mr. Henry. The pass in the final 50. Will there be another? It is one and done to the line just outside of 151. And that is Arturo Martinez from Drury at 151.26. One final 800-meter heat in these 800-meter A group for the men, and then we will hit to the 800-meter invitational heats for the women, 18 of those, and then 2 elite heats, and then do the opposite for the men, the 2 elite heats first, and then the 18 invite heats to close out the afternoon session. Final heat on the track. We are underway. Some of the schools represented in this one: UC San Diego, Saginaw Valley, Tufts out of the Northeast, Division III, UC Santa Barbara, UC Davis, North Dakota, Cal State East Bay, Marion, Indiana, Texas A&M, Kingsville, and St. Mary's from California. Pretty solid opening 300 for our final section in Group A. You see just one of the runners been dropped from that lead group of 10. Mason Piot from Marion, Indiana, 53-1, up by 3/10 over Noah Gordon from UC Santa Barbara. See that first 7 runners, about 20 to 25 meters separating leader from the end of that group. But we are not done with changing positions. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and maybe the leader. Here they come. And the pass has been made right by the steeplechase pit. Headed for home, 100 meters. The future's so bright, he's got to wear shades on a glorious Friday afternoon in California, as the winner, Kristen Taylor from UC Davis, 150.41. A nice way to close it out for the junior from UC Davis. And the numbers from our final heat for the Group A for men, as Caton Kratch from Wisconsin Parkside gets the victory overall. 148.74 there, the numbers. He's the top 4 under 149. All right, so great depth all the way through these heats as Kratch picked up his winning performance in heat number 5. A great view overhead at Cougar Stadium at APU. Another look at these 800-meter races. Started out in lanes, break for the rail, and that's when it really gets interesting. A great close by our winner, Caton Kratch from Wisconsin Parkside. Back with more 800s coming up next, live on FloTrack. The big time events are up and coming. Started out with the Bryan Clay Invitational. Next week, from the city of brotherly love, the Penn Relays, the 130th running of the Penn Relays Carnival, the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of April. Then the London Marathon this month. And it only gets better. The Diamond League, the Continental Tour, Running Lane Outdoor Championships, Sound Running, and then the Cape Town Marathon, all within the months of April and May, live on FloTrack. As we get ready to move to the invitational heats of the women's 800 meters. 18 of those. Look at this, just gorgeous facility, gorgeous conditions. And we are underway. In heat number 1 of 18, we are scheduled to go slow to fast. So keep that in mind as we work our way through these 18 heats. Seven on the oval, coming around through 300 meters. Looks like that is Keely Litzen from Loris. Division III power. Gone up to BU and done some incredible things at the relays. 61 and change. Nice opening 400 for Keely Litzen from Loris. Only a freshman. Down the back straight, Litzen, and then Bingham from Utah Valley in the number 2 spot. Looks like she's trying to make the pass on the rail. She's got some room. That is a difficult maneuver to pull off, but given the space, why not stay along the rail? It's got 150 to go. Litzen, Bingham, 1-2. And now she's got a little more room to try to pass along the rail. You never want to give up the rail. Who's going to make it to the line first? And a new leader in the final 30 meters, and we're going to go under 2:08. Lillian Guerrero from UT Rio Grande Valley, 2:07.41. Closed the fastest. She went out in 62.3, closed in 65 flat. All righty, as we get ready for section number 2 of 18 of the Women's Invitational 800s, getting faster. Bring along my broadcast partner, Carson Gambaro. Carson, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Phil, and tons of great races, of course, from those open 800s to the 100s, and we've got another one coming right here, section number 2, and as they've upped the quality of these fields, we've seen them incorporate the staggered 800 in contrast to some larger fields that'll run with either double lanes or waterfalls. So real interesting event that we got on our hands here, one that I know you're very fond of, partner.
Oh, absolutely. Braking on the back straightaway, running for the rail as one of the runners in the outside lanes gaining the advantage. That is Cameron Hubbard from Iowa State. The Cyclones, so again, Power 4 conferences, mixing up with D1, D2, D3, NAIA squads. You're going to get everybody who's anybody here at Bryan Clay, Carson.
And right where you saw Hubbard take the lead at 200 is where the Iowa State flag is pitched. So trying to impress for her camp, she saw her teammates Betty Kipkori and Marceline Kierwa make their track 10K debuts, and she's feeling some of that adrenaline. 61 seconds through 400 meters.
And her lead is about as wide as the state of Iowa. Wow, it is huge. Look at that, 1.7 seconds ahead of Cullen Merrill from Rice. She is a junior, but again, how much fuel did Hubbard use on that first lap? Still looking pretty good, arms are moving. Legs aren't looking too bad. It really isn't completely hit the wall, but she's still 250 out, Carson.
And she's still got Cullen Merrill, whom you called out before there, Phil, and Emily Gordon of Wayne State, Michigan. Those two really working together down this final backstretch. And Merrill is within a few meters, ready to strike. But Cameron Hubbard, she's got 55.32 raw 400 speed, and she's starting to turn those wheels heading into the final 100.
We'll see if maybe an inside look again by Cullen Merrill. We saw that in the last heat as Hubbard trying to work those arms, but here comes Merrill. Cullen Merrill from Rice makes the move in the final 50. The pace was quick from the start, 61.7. Where does she close? She's going to go in the 2:08 range. Cullen Merrill with the win, 2:08.16.
What a great day, a display of patience that was by Cullen Merrill. Like you said, Phil, she was behind by nearly 2 seconds at the halfway point, and she did not make up all the ground in that third 200 like she may have been expecting, to seeing that target get closer and closer. But she bided her time, found one last surge in that final 100 meters, and really kept the splits nice and close to one another. Only 63 to 64. When you can squeeze it down to within a second, that's very impressive speed endurance. But it is still Liliana Guerrero of UT Rio Grande Valley from that first heat who leads heading into heat 3.
And we're underway with heat number 3 again. 8 runners, 1 in each lane. They will break after 100 meters, 1 turn stagger. We see Power 5 conferences and schools, and one of our military academies, Rachel Faraday from the Air Force Academy in lane 4 as they all come together on the back straight. All 8 runners on the oval. So again, Carson, we are working slow to fast in this one, so things are only going to get more exciting and more hectic over the final 150 or 200 meters.
Especially when you just look at how tight that field was through the first 200 and change meters. Aspen Hacker made a big surge between 200 and 300 to separate from the rest. The freshman from Southern Utah on the front.
Headed towards start finish. 58.59 seconds for Ms. Hacker. 62 and change through 400 meters. She has Sophia Miller from Montana State, so a definite Rocky Mountain feel to this one. As the Air Force Academy, Faraday in the number 3 spot.
Let's see if she can make a timely move down the back stretch. Miller was positioning herself nicely on the main stretch. Here we go, heading to the final 200 meters. There on the outside is Pauline Shedler of Illinois State. She will lead into the final half lap.
And I said it's a shuffling of the deck, and we saw that first to fifth to second, just all over the place movement within the top half dozen in this race. That great overhead look going into the final turn, final 100-meter sprint for home. Again, Shedler from Illinois State. A freshman went out in 63.09. Gonna bring it home just as quick. Wow, what a run. Under 2:08.
That's a huge time for Pauline Shedler. Came in as a 2:09.30 performer in an Illinois State Cardinal uniform. She just took 2 seconds off of her collegiate best. And she, once again, was able to really squeeze it down, bring out that sprint form in that last gear that nobody else could match. A nice response for second, though, by Woods there of Marion in the NAIA division to get second.
And she is the new number 1 overall in the invitational heats as we get faster with each heat. And again, our hats off to meet management. They move through from one group of finishers up to the next group of starters. Heat number 4 on the oval, the schools and individuals represented. We have Notre Dame, UCLA, some of the big schools, some of the big names in track and field, and also some of the smaller schools, UT Rio Grande Valley, UC Irvine, North Florida. No offense to those institutions, but they're bringing it out to Southern California. All 8 runners in one tight bunch is Olivia Capalla from Northwestern in the Big Ten Conference in the lead.
The Northwestern Wildcats out of Chicago have just been making some big-time gains out of the Big Ten. They ended up qualifying as a team for cross-country nationals as the second team out of the Midwest region. So looking to see what kind of race she could put together. Capalla On the inside, here comes the UCLA Bruin. You talk about Big Ten. Here's Georgia Genere heading into the final 400 meters with the advantage.
Coming through just under 63 seconds. And when you talk about the Big Ten and all these conferences as they're expanding, schools like Northwestern and other schools that aren't, let's say, they maybe the Power 2 before, really have to expend those resources, go out there and recruit some of those top athletes. And they definitely are doing that, as Jennerette from UCLA in the lead off that 62.9 opening 400 meters down the back straight. Still tightly bunched together. Also, Eileen Brenny from Bradley, you see her popping out. Maybe take a look toward the front. As Katerina Nosiapulu from North Florida, now a fading second and third, but it is all Jennerette from UCLA.
We got a big-time surge coming from the back here, Phil.
Is that Salazar from
5?
UT
yep,
Rio
it is
Grande.
Salazar with hip 3. Kaylee Salazar. That is 2 heat wins for UT Rio Grande Valley. We saw it in the first section by Liliana Guerrero, and we've seen it once again. 207.92, so 2 207s for UT Rio Grande Valley. This latest one courtesy of Kaylee Salazar. And where did she come from on that last lap? But nearly the very back. Insane close.
Wow, and 2 heat victories also. Amazing run for those young women from UT Rio Grande Valley. Wow, what a run.
So heat 5 of 18
5.
coming up next. Yes.
Boise State, Grand Valley State, Texas, Northwestern Missouri, Iowa Hawkeyes a couple, and 1 unattached runner scheduled to be on the oval. I think we are down to 7, 1 scratch.
I would expect a relatively contact-free race in that occasion, but we can't forget that mid-distance running is still mid-distance running. You see those varying cut-ins. Some athletes a little more urgent, get to the rail to protect their position, while others will go for a smooth cut-in, but either way, they're through 200 moving quickly. I saw 30 seconds on the clock, half a lap through.
And good pacing so far through the opening. Through the opening 300 meters. As the Longhorns, Mia Perez in the lead with Kayla Lyons from Iowa in the number 2 spot. 62.1 for Perez.
This is a real significant opportunity for Mia Perez, who's just a freshman out of Spring Branch, Texas. Got to stay home in the Lone Star State for college. Looking to see what kind of 800-meter clocking she can poise here as down the back straightaway. Heading towards the final 200. She's got quite a bit of clearance. Half lap remaining for the young Longhorn.
And a big edge coming up on 140 on the clock for Perez from Texas.
Comes in with a 208.93 collegiate bests. She achieved that at the Razorback Invitational on the indoor oval, home of the NCAA Indoor Championships. An aspiring NCAA finalist, I'm almost certain, as here she comes, setting a big-time collegiate best. Look at that, 205.19 for Mia Perez. How about that as well? You look at the overall top 50 times in Division I, not even separating them by region. A 205.19 is number 44 in all of Division I. And remember, it's top 48 for West or East to make it to those quarterfinals. Just wire-to-wire dominance for Mia Perez, Phil.
Wow, 62-63, 800. You mentioned that before when there was a 1 second differential. You don't see that very often, Carson.
Especially when you're not surrounded by other runners that almost serve as those push factors. But hey, that just goes to show you how much of a mental sport mid-distance running can truly be. We're on to heat number 6 in the women's Invite 800. Once we conclude our series of 18, we'll be on to the 2 sections of elite 800-meter runs as we get underway. As Phil mentioned, another great mixture of schools from all different conferences. We got Division II Northwest Missouri and Grand Valley State. UT Rio Grande Valley, they've had plenty of great runs, and they've got Invitational in this field as they cut in. It's been pretty contentious as they motor their way towards 200.
And I like that drone look down the back straightaway so you can see how these athletes coming together after running in lanes for the first 100 meters around the turn past the steeplechase water pit and headed down toward another potential victory, maybe, Carson, for UT Rio Grande Valley. They're in the lead right now.
Well, remember the last time we saw a UT Rio Grande Valley victory, that was from behind by Kaylee Salazar, but you got to have that ability to respond to different types of strategies, and Invitational is showing that thus far. You see that 400 split, 60-31.
That is very hot with, again, almost a full second advantage to go out in 60.3. I know we're getting faster and faster with these 18 invitational heats, but we're only a third of the way through, and they're going out in 60 point. That is extremely aggressive.
Invitational, a transfer from Cloud County Community College, coming up from the JUCO ranks, looking to get after her collegiate best of 2:08.74. She was well beneath that pace through 600 meters, just trying to stay ahead of Gabriella Chiara, the Boise State Bronco. Rounding the final turn, it's Anchike of UT Rio Grande Valley.
Another victory for UT Rio Grande Valley. What a run. The time to beat that 2:05.19.
And that personal record time to beat at 2:08.74, she's going to get both of them. 2:03 nearly flat, if not faster. 2:03 on the nose. Wow.
That is exactly what I was going to say. It's almost beyond words, that description. Taking it out in 60.3 and then closing in 62.7 all alone on an island. So aggressive from the start, but obviously a talented young lady at 800 meters, and goes out and runs 2:03, takes the overall lead by 2+ seconds.
And also takes a commanding lead in the Southland Conference. She is now 4 seconds faster on the season than anybody else in the SLC with that gutsy run out of heat number 6. On to section number 7 of the women's Invite 800. Another great mixture of names. We saw University of Texas collect a victory a couple heats ago by Mia Perez. We got another Longhorn in this whose name I recognize, Isabel Conde Frankenberg, who's got Argentinian heritage. She's represented her country at some under 20 stages, but she was also a New Balance National High School champion out of Texas. 2:05.61 back in 2022. Through 200, moving quickly once again.
Boy, I tell you, the folks down at UT Rio Grande Valley really doing something right. They're going to have to give a shout out to their coaches here before we end this invitational section of these 800.
Pretty single file. It is Conde Frankenberg on the lead, followed by the Northwest Missouri Bearcat, Marie Dea, who was a semifinalist at the Indoor Division II National Championships. Pretty quick once again through the halfway point. Conde Frankenberg, 62.13.
And again, not that 62 is slow, but that 60 point in that heat before really has shaken up, I think, this field. The rest of these heats in the invitational portion of the women's 800 meters, as the major players in collegiate track and field in the U.S. are now taking to the oval, as Frankenberg again with the lead, only just a couple strides with 200 to go.
Marie Dea made a lot of ground up in that third 200, but Washburn's Lexi Fontaine is right there to challenge. It's a three-way race with less than 150 remaining. Conde Frankenberg off the final turn. Once again, finding that extra surge. The track is running fast. The iron is hot on this beautiful Friday evening in Southern California. And Isabel Conde Frankenberg is going to achieve yet another new lifetime best. That is huge. 2:04.95. You talk about that 2:05.61 I mentioned it just a few minutes ago. That was her previous PR from 4 years ago. Snapping the drought in fine, fine style. Isabel Conde Frankenberg wins heat number 7 in the 800.
She got such a boost off that last turn. It almost looked like coming off the banking at Boston University's track and tennis center. The lead was closing. Field was coming in on her. She is now number 2 overall, but she just got a quick boost, hit that gear, as you said, Carson, and went for home again, breaking 2:05.
For the first time, and potentially not even the last time in her life, she definitely felt energized with what she saw from Mia Perez. We got another Texas Longhorn in this, Grace Kowalski, running out of lane number 6, but several others in the mix. You see CSU Pueblo, Jaden Herron from Division II. You got Tiffins, Amelia Wise-Sweat from Division III for the Dragons as they merge. Yet another tight battle, Phil.
Absolutely, as the whole bunch goes through 200 meters with the Ohio-based Tiffin Dragons D2 program. As coming up on 41 seconds through the opening 300 meters.
Once again, thanks for the check there, Phil. We are looking to keep all of our division rankings in context and also our splits. This is fast, 59 through 400.
I've called it the 400 dash, the 400 dive before, and Kylie Feeney from New Mexico, she looked like a 400 runner through a 59.4 opening quarter. And again, almost 2 seconds. Look at that gap going into the back straightaway, Carson.
Kylie Feeney of New Mexico, the Tennessee transfer, has been running some good times over opposite ends of her range this season. She ran a 58.34 raw 400. She was just a second off of that halfway home, but she also hit a 4:24.18 1500 meter PR at Stanford. So she's got the speed and strength to blend.
You talk about those athletes coming off of altitude or altitude-based training. Feeney, again, going out in 59.4. Can she hold on? She is definitely tiring.
As Grace Kowalski, the Longhorn from Texas, is closing her down with every stride. It's going to come down to the final 20 meters, but Kylie Feeney of New Mexico just holds the inside line. Might have moved a little wide to leave some daylight for Kowalski, but just not enough room to get back at her. Kylie Feeney holds on with another lifetime best, 2:06.15, breaking her old mark of 2:08.76.
Putting yourself on the line out there like she did, going out sub 60 seconds. Again, the 800 can be an experiment, and it maybe was that time, going out sub 60, see how the body responds, and it responded just enough for the win in that heat number 8.
Section number 9, as my good friend Phil Grove likes to say, we're about to reach the top of the mountain once we conclude this heat. Once again, 18 sections on schedule for our women's invite 800 meters. And Vinay on GK 203 flat. Our leader thus far, Phil, coming together as you said. Yes.
That great drone shot down the back straightaway shows how everybody's taking their spot. Again, I mentioned yesterday about the location, getting in the pack. This race develops so quickly. You really have to be thinking at all times.
That constant presence of mind, always so important for any of our distance events, 800 and up, running here at the Bryan Clay Invitational. A huge culprit for a lot of top qualifying marks that we see, advance our athletes to NCAA regionals. Look out on the front, Nolani Krause of Boise State vying for the lead, but on the inside, you've also got Jess Chisar of Alaska Anchorage. She'll lead through the split at 61.38.
And we're going to see more of these races going out in the 60, 61 range as these athletes, extremely talented. I talked before you got on, Carson, about the development of the 800-meter distance in the U.S., going back to some of the glory days with like Dave Waddle and the like. The ladies and the men in the U.S. love this distance, and they're very talented at it.
Jess Kazar of Alaska Anchorage, I believe she pronounces her last name Kaiser. Correct me if I'm wrong, but either way, coming all the way down to the contiguous United States to get a good performance in early in the season. She has led the entire way around, but the rest of the field has been waiting to pounce. Hitting the home straightaway. Now in front is Ellie Fry, who took the belt in 7th for Dallas Baptist. The Patriot trying to hold off UC Irvine's Emma Hadley. But we got another challenge coming to the line all the way to the photo. Who was it? It was Hatcher, Orissa Hatcher of Cal Poly Pomona by just 9/100ths of a second. Wow.
Big closer, rallies and holds on for a 65-second last lap of that final 50 meters. Ran down Ellie Fry from Dallas Baptist for the win, as the top 3 all go under 2:08.
We are getting ready to welcome on our second half heats. Heats 10 through 18 coming at you in the women's Invitational 800-meter run. And a couple of players to watch in this one. You look at Mackenzie Campbell of UBC in lane number 5. She's the reigning NAIA outdoor champion, Phil.
And again, the NAIA schools can mix it up. I mentioned earlier about Ohio used to be a big base of NAIA programs. Many of those converted to the NCAA D2, so there aren't as many NAIA programs out there, but those colleges, small in size, but they can pull in and recruit some of these top runners and develop those athletes just as quickly.
Pretty tight bunch between our field of 7 as they hit the first quarter through of the race. There's Elizabeth Katevi of Texas A&M Corpus Christi. She'll lead through 200, trying to stay on touch with those wave lights. Another wrinkle of these 800s that I've yet to mention, but in this 10th invite heat, we are looking for 2:06 pace. So trying to bring them through quickly. Look for something in the low to mid 60s halfway through.
And 2:06, we have already been below that in the slower heats. Where are we going to go as we work our way through heat number 18?
It was officially a 61-80 split for Elizabeth Katevi of TACC. Campbell, the NAIA champ, right behind her, but look out for Ava Mitchell, who's the reigning Big Sky indoor 5,000-meter champion from NAU. We know about Colin Salmon's range, being able to stretch it out from 144 in the 8 to 13:23 in the 5K, but Ava Mitchell's got some range as well. We'll see if she can close as Katevi continues to lead heading into the final half lap.
Coming up on the 140 mark for Katevi from A&M Corpus Christi. Again, an opener of 61.8, a very legitimate opening 400, and look at that lead that she has in the final 100.
I remember getting to see Katevi win her heats back at the BU season opener. Sharon Collier Danville, she broke just beneath 9 minutes in the 3K there, 8:59.74, so plenty of strength to hold it up and come through just outside of the leading time in this 800, a 2:03.41. Wow, dropping her collegiate best down by another 4-second margin.
And Carson, you mentioned those athletes and their ability to run 800 fast and also 5K fast, and that's part of the training and also part of how you can really dial it in at your distance, whatever that may be, by going long, going short, and really benefit from competition.
And so great to see Ava Mitchell exemplify that, coming down from 2:11 in her previous best collegiate 800. She hasn't run a whole lot of open 800s, admittedly, knowing that she needs to shoulder some heavier loads at conference, but nice to see her get a new PR down from 2:11.63. We got some more potential PRs waiting in the wings. Here comes heat number 11 of the Women's Invite 800.
Coming together after breaking out of their lanes, running for one turn. And we'll see who is able to get to that inside rail in a position as all 7 runners coming together as a group through 200 meters in just over 30 seconds.
Just behind those wave lights, I'd imagine they're going to take them through in the 61s range for this 11th heat. Scheduled to be paced out once again in 206 territory. Here they come into the main straightaway for the first of 2 times. We got University of Hawaii represented here. Izzy Gorton among the mix. Our leader on the inside is Baylor's Mackenzie Brown. But trying to pass her up, you got Megan Roxby unattached, wearing hip number 8 to the bell.
It is Roxby through 400 meters in just over 63 seconds, so definitely behind the pace lights, as Brown from Baylor at 63.9. So the slowest opener, it looks like we are possibly looking at a negative split for this one as Roxby starts to gain some daylight on the field down the back straight.
Megan Roxby may be unattached today, but a couple of years ago that was not the case. She was a standout with Simon Fraser from Canada at the Division II level. Finished her career with All-American finishes, 7th in the 800 and 6th in the 1500 in 2024. Can she hold it up in this final half lap?
Just under 150 on the board. Final 100 meters, still Roxby, but she has company in the final turn.
A big slingshot move by Dominique Abbott of Sacramento State. Now trying to follow her is Gorton from Hawaii. It is Abbott at the line who will just shade it out in front of her. Dominique Abbott, 64.04, rather 64.12 on the first lap, and 63.96. So just like you said, Phil, it would have taken a negative split to win a race like that, and Dominique Abbott had it coming.
There still are sitters and kickers, and sort of sitting and kicking by going negative split in that race. Not too many races will develop like that, especially at this level of excellence, Carson. As we get set for section number 12, we are rocking and rolling with 800 meters.
I mean, let's not forget, Phil, just a few years ago we saw Will Sumner go 53-51 to run a 144 to win the NCAA Outdoor Championships. There are still sitting kickers. As you said, heat number 12 is going to have some very fast runners in the mix. One that I got to cover much in high school, Clemmy Lilly of Stanford, the freshman out of Rumson Fairhaven in New Jersey. She won the New Jersey Meet of Champions back in 2024, but has run multiple raw 55s out of the blocks in the 400. She's hanging in the middle of the pack wearing hip 6 as the UC San Diego Triton, Allison Abandanato, leads just beyond 200.
Everybody's still there in heat number 12 through 300 meters. How wide are they going to go to get a shot to get themselves in the lead? It looks like 2 by 2, maybe 3 wide, as we see Emma Vorkabala from Iowa State on the outside, taking a look over the shoulder of Abandanato from UC San Diego. 61.4 opening 400.
You see that positioning for Emma Vorpagel. I really like the move she made on the main straightaway to get herself out of the rear, to put herself in striking position without impatiently going to the front. She's on the outside shoulder. It hasn't gotten by yet. This is where the race begins to only increase in difficulty. It's Odessa Zentz on the lead in the pinkish bright kit. Here comes Cameron Bodine from the Air Force Academy. She moves around the outside of the lead.
Boy, she went out into lane 3 and took a quick left-hand turn to get down to the rail, and she is moving right now. Cameron Bodine out in 62.3, but out away from the field for the final 100.
Fresh off a 2:06.63 personal record at the Stanford Invitational. She is blowing away these pacing lights. They're going to go much quicker here at Bryan Clay. 2:04 flat, if not 2:03 high, 2:04.20 official for Cameron Bodine. And it was that third 200 where she almost made a similar type move that we saw from Emma Vorpagel in the second 200. Vorpagel still finishes impressively in 5th with a field of 2:06s, but Bodine just had so much wheels to work with, Phil. Another negative split.
And she was dead last, 8th place in 62.34. And again, negative split, but going, and again, that is old school there, going from last to first. That's a Dave Waddle move. What a run by that young lady.
I know to some of our newer fans of track and field, a negative split might not sound like such a good thing, but it is. It is truly one of the more satisfying achievements that you can make, especially in a personal record-setting race. Section 13 of the women's Invite 800, down the back straight, merging beyond the cones, just beyond 100 meters, braking and racing. Here we go.
All right, scheduled to have 9 in this one, so for the first time, we're over 1 per lane. As Macy Hilton from SMU on the rail, in the lead, into the shadows as we approach the 5 o'clock hour in Southern California.
Just about 9 minutes until we arrive at that time of day. Macy Hilton, though, curious to see how she can handle this 800 distance. She comes in having set a big-time SMU indoor mile school record of 4:36.87. Ranks number 2 for the Stangs all time at 2:06.25. Now their school record's at 2:01, so that may be safe, but still one of the finest mid-distance runners that the team from Dallas has ever seen.
60-point opening, 400, but it is a big group up front. 4 runners looking very strong, strong arms, pulling, trying to get into the lead, coming up with the final 2:50 to go, but Hilton still in front.
We got the ACC, we got the Big 12, we got the Big Sky Conference all represented in the top 4. Hilton and Rourke from SMU and Louisville with less than 200 meters to go. Macy Hilton, we know she's got that miler strength, but Rourke's had great position all race long, as has the BYU Cougar Annalise Packard. She moves around the outside in a second. Does she have enough gas on the home stretch? Macy Hilton goes to the stride, keeps the upper body relaxed, checking all the boxes here in section number 13, and she'll win with a new lifetime best over 800 meters. Macy Hilton, 2:04.89.
A very courageous final 100 meters for Macy Hilton, because I'm certain that she got a glimpse of Packard pulling out to her right. So you know what, I have to stay with this. The plan was to go out hard and finish hard, and she did that again. As you said, a new PR run. You can't beat that, but the number's still on top of the board, 2:03 flat.
I know one runner that would be rather eager to get after the 2:03s, one that's run 2:04s in her high school career with Haverford Township. You'll look out for her wearing hip number 8 nearest to frame. That's Olivia Cieslak, Phil.
Yes, I know her well. One of the top middle distance and distance runners in the state of Pennsylvania on the outside, going across country to Stanford. And she won't be the number 1 to the rail this time. It looks like she's got some work to do, as she's going to be back in the number 6 position. The freshman from Pennsylvania running for Stanford, but here she comes, pulling herself up. You know what? She must have been hearing us, Carson.
Responding to the call, Olivia Cieslak on the outside. You got Haley Burns of NAU, another really phenomenal rangy runner for the Lumberjacks. She ran a 15:18 at Stanford over 5,000 meters, breaking the Big Sky Conference record. So she's looking to show some of her 800 speed, currently positioned in second, heading towards the bell.
And as you know, Carson, Stanford has had some pretty good success at 800 meters, so a very good school for Olivia to go to and start to develop as a collegiate 800 runner. Right now, she's got a lot of runners looking through and has to work her way through as they went out 59.1 for Burns.
Looks like our athlete in front of her was just doing a little pace setting, so Haley Burns is effectively in the lead, moving by the Rabbit down the final backstretch. It's Maureen Chepkarui of Kansas, Ines McAdam running unattached, and Salma Bejia of California in a mad dash for second. But Phil, just look at the grit on Haley Burns' face right now.
Running for home, the athlete from NAU. We always talk about the distance program, but here the middle distance athlete again, out strong in 59.1. The time to beat 2:03. Will she get there? She's not to 1:55 yet.
Our pace setter is sticking it out for the finish, but Haley Burns is sticking it out with authority. right around the leading time to beat. That was a 2:03. She gets a 2:03.05, just missing the lead. But what a run for Haley Burns, who's only run 2:08 prior to today in an NAU uniform. She is on the track, having to be helped back to her feet. Wow.
These are some major milestones for these middle distance standouts in the Invitational portion of the women's 800 meters. A final look at our winner in that last section. Just missed the overall lead with her 2:03.05. A handful of heats to go before the elite sections, 2 of those for the women here today at Bryan Clay.
Followed by 2 more of the men, of course. If you're enjoying our coverage, be sure to follow along on FloTrack at all social platforms. Our content team on the ground being led by David Wynn, and our great production team led by Gunnar, Josh, Amanda, and Greg, all offering their production services to our broadcast this weekend. Phil Grove and Carson Gambaro live from Azusa Pacific University as we are on heat number 15. Moving to the backstretch, our lights for this invite section set for 2:04 pace, so only getting faster.
There's more than one way to skin a cat, as the old saying goes. Also more than one way to get yourself down to lane number 1. You saw that quick conversion of these 8 athletes coming out of the lanes. All the way out in lane 8 seems like you're in a different time zone. But everybody coming together, now working hard, trying to get as close to running 800 meters as possible. And they are at speed, Carson, looking probably at another sub-60 opener.
It's Eveline Chipkoech who will hear the bell first, and just as you said, Phil, sub-60 halfway through. Oh, stepping off there, I'm not sure if she was pace setting. That looked like potentially Iris Bergman of Boston College. We'll see. Either way, our field has been significantly trimmed, and you start to see a little bit of spread as they're single file entering the final backstretch. It's Jess Spilsbury of San Francisco trying to move wide on the outside.
A very strong opening 400. Who is going to have anything left in those legs? The arms are just as important as the legs at this point. As a young lady from the Air Force Academy, out in 59.6, into the shadows. Will she come out into the sunshine in the lead? It looks like she will, with over 100 to go, Carson.
Oh, but the field is starting to respond. Here comes Chepkoech back around the outside. She led at this point a lap ago and is going to try and drive it home. And here comes the Iowa Hawkeye, Rosemary Arthur, in 3 wide. Look at this battle. Arthur on the inside, leaning for the line. Was it Lexi Hallenberg? Was it Janiyah Brown? Finished results has the verdict in heat number 15 of the women's 800 invites. Arthur from Iowa by just 0.2 of a second. It looked a lot closer at first glance. She just gets it. Let's watch what happened there at the beginning. It looked like that was Lexi Hallenberg of San Francisco, if not her teammate, the aforementioned Jess Spilsbury. Crazy entrance to that final lap. They just confirmed Janiyah Brown as the winner, by the way. Her name had yet to be displayed. I thought she was closer to the win than had initially been shown. Chaotic heat. We've already got another one coming. So, section number 16 on the track, we've got our reigning Division III indoor bronze medalist emerging from lane number 4. That is Isabel Perez-Zogby from Cal Poly Humboldt, as they're all trying to find their way to that inside rail just beyond 150 meters in.
Right about 30 seconds through the opening 200. So you talked about those pacing lights, Carson. This view from up above, they are right glued into those. So whether in an 800-meter race you really are paying much attention to that, I don't think they are. They're more dialed into themselves and also to the race plan and also the race developing around them.
One athlete I'm curious to see contend here is Molly Shugru. She is the leader through 400 meters. The 30-year-old from McCook, Nebraska, former Oklahoma State Cowgirl, a 4-time Big 12 champion with a lifetime best of 2:02.54. Can she hold this lead entering the final 300 meters?
And another runner with experience at different distances. This 800 out a little slower in 61.6 down the back straight. It looks like she is under heavy pressure, not able to hold that lead with 200 to go.
And that's what happens when you got a lot of other 800-meter runners comfortable with that pace. None more so than Berlin Schutz of Nebraska. The Cornhusker is loose. Down the final straightaway, you saw that wide gap depicted beautifully by our drone camera. Berlin Schutz wants to put a gap on her 2:04.81 personal record. She'll do just that. I think she took the lead. Oh, just outside of it, spoke too soon. It was bound to happen, but hey, the same was so for her personal record. Berlin Schutz, 1.7 seconds quicker in her time from the Mark Colligan Memorial Indoors back in January at her hometown track. She has made herself at home here at Bryan Clay.
Wow, looking at that finishing final 50 meters, look at it, almost going out into lane number 5. You don't see that very often in an 800 with heavy traffic, with the 5 runners within just a couple seconds. And that heat number 16.
That was Molly Shugru having to shift out to the exterior. Of course, with all of her experience, I'm sure she's seen crazier occurrences in an 800, but that's what's just so exciting about an event like this. So many different ways it could develop. Heat number 17, we've got some more Division II studs. Lika Hookstein, the Division II indoor champion, emerging from lane number 2. Watch out for the Adams State Grizzly in green and gold.
And whether it's cross or track, the Adams State program's men and women's side developing standouts year after year. And again, a senior with plenty of years of experience in the Rockies, running for this D2 powerhouse. She is definitely up to the occasion here, running at the Bryan Clay Invite.
So is Honor Finley, who's going to take us through the bell. 1 lap to go. That time she takes us through in 58 seconds at the opening 400.
So our quickest opener, 58.84 from Finley, now with about a 5-meter lead down the back straight, Carson.
Here comes Tegan Hunter-Galvin of New Zealand, and also Christy Solomon, the BYU Cougar, repping the white kit for Coach Diljeet Taylor's Cougs. Heading towards the final 200 meters, you got Reina Stanciano of the Aggies Run Club also in 3rd. She's chosen to tuck in on the rail, minimizing her distance as they come around the final turn. It's Finley, Solomon, Stanciano entering the home straightaway. Honor Finley
is the 2:03 leader in jeopardy.
There goes Stanciano. She'll take the number 2 spot with less than 40 remaining. Finley to the line, just going to hold form and take the lead in the women's Invite 800 in the penultimate section, 2:02.15.
Taking it out fast, finishing fast. Honor Finley, 2:02.15.
What a run to hold off Stanciano, who was really charging in that home stretch on the left of your screen in the dull gold kit. A great run as well by our BYU Cougar, getting in that top 3. But we have 1 heat left to decide this thing. Again, 2:02.15 is the time to beat for our 18th and final section of the women's Invite 800. Another Division II champion in the building, Helen Braybrook of CSU Pueblo. She lines up out of lane number 5. She won the indoor title a season ago in 2025 and also set the indoor mile D2 record at 4:30.03, Phil.
Again, another strong middle distance runner from the Rocky Mountain States in Division II, the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. Just such a competitive meat grinder of a conference. And again, national champions, whether it's on relays, indoors, DMR. Adams State's had some incredible units. But again, a good assortment here. West Texas A&M is no slouch at the D2 level as they are glued into those pace lights.
Abigail Abaguirre from WTAMU, the current Division II national leader at 2:04:38, also the current leader in this race. She finished runner-up at Indoor Nationals, is going to want to right the ship here on the outdoor front. She's going to take us through right in a minute flat with only a quarter mile left.
You have 6 of the 8 runners in this field are, well, actually, look at that. They're all 8 right there behind our D2 national leader. How will they respond knowing that this is a legitimate threat up front, someone who can go long from home and close out this race after opening in 60 flat?
Jaden Hill of Vanderbilt is responding. You see the official split coming up for Abaguirre, 60:04. Privileged Shakara of Middle Tennessee State, one of the top runners out of the Conference USA, in the top 3 still. And Leanna Lewis of Iowa surging in the gold for the Hawkeyes. Looking for a hawk down if she can get close. Abigail Abaguirre still towards the front end of the lights. Remember, 2:02:15, the time to be in our invite women's sections of the 800. It's going to be a close fight there, but either way, a new Division II lead and an overall lead at Bryan Clay. Abigail Abaguirre, 2:01:79.
That is a great run, opening again in 60:04, closing in 61:75. Usually about a 3-second difference if you're going out quickly, as she did. But she backed up that previous D2 national lead by dropping it down several seconds. 2:01:79 in the middle of April. That says a lot of good things are coming between now and the end of May.
And Abigail Abaguirre, your winner in the women's Invite 800, just ran a #2 all-time Division II 800 meters. An epic series. But some history has already been made, and we haven't even hit the elite sections here on day 2, Phil. What a day here at Bryan Clay. We're going to continue with the Elite 800s when we return live on FloTrack.